I'm TJ Walker for the Daily National in New York. Well, it's time to make the case for Democrats and liberals and progressives to support and indeed endorse and vote for Newt Gingrich. Now, why is that? Let's step back a minute. Imagine you're a Republican Party activist and you've been out of the country for a year on vacation. They do that from time to time. You come back, you turn on your computer, you go to the Drudge Report, and all of a sudden you read that the Democrats have changed the Constitution and they've now nominated Fidel Castro for president. Now, your first reaction might be to rub your eyes, but your second reaction is, oh my God, this is incredible. This is going to be easy for the Republicans to win 50 states. Well, that's how I feel when it comes to Newt Gingrich. I just can't imagine an easier Republican to beat in the general election. I mean, Newt Gingrich really embodies every single evil, hypocrisy, inconsistency, corruption of the modern conservative movement. I mean, you couldn't create something like this at a cartoon factory. Let's just look at the record. We all know Newt Gingrich is tremendously hypocritical when it comes to marriage and traditional values. Not only has he cheated on numerous wives, numerous times, and it's been documented that he's fooled around with other married women in a car with his own children walking by. But it's not just the personal matter. This is a guy who, for years, tried to get Jim Wright kicked out as Speaker of the United States Congress because Jim Wright had the audacity to make $1,500 on a book deal. Well, what did Newt Gingrich do the second he became Speaker? He signed a $1.5 million book deal. Of course, it was corrupt and unethical, and he had to cancel it. But this is a guy who is utterly shameless. He's railed against pork his whole career. Turns out, according to Washington Monthly, even before he was Speaker, Newt had more pork than any other congressional district in the country except for one other. This guy is a pork king. Now, he's talked about how corrupt Washington is. Politicians go there penniless, end up rich. Well, that's exactly what he did. He went there 35 years ago, broke, penniless. Today, he has a net worth in excess of 8 figures. Not 6 figures, not 7 figures, 8 figures. He's railed against Barney Frank, says Barney Frank needs to go to jail because he's somehow been influenced by Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. And what has Gingrich done? He's taken $1.8 million in lobbying fees, and yes, they were lobbying fees. As Stephen Colbert points out, just because you don't register your car doesn't mean it's not a car. Newt Gingrich was, in fact, a lobbyist. I mean, you can go on and on and on. You know, talks about his love for the military and defense. Of course, he's a draft dodger. Now, with a lot of conservatives, they may have weaknesses, but they generally have positives to make up for them. A lot of us really didn't agree with Ronald Reagan on a lot of issues, but everyone agreed Reagan was likable, genial, charismatic. Well, not so with Newt Gingrich. Even his own ideological allies, for the most part, detest him if they know him personally. He has a horrible personality. People who have to be around him think he's arrogant, obnoxious, condescending, and anytime he opens his mouth, he exudes the sense that he thinks everyone else is a complete idiot except for him. So he doesn't have that going for him. Now, sometimes candidates are just so good looking and so charming, they make up for their other flaws. Well, nobody could say that about Newt Gingrich, other than having a good helmet head of hair. He's fat, disgusting, and as Don Imus said the other day, oily and sickening and disgusting. This guy has absolutely no redeemable qualities whatsoever. He's the ultimate hypocrite. I mean, if I were a Hollywood liberal creating a villain for Democrats to run again, I couldn't come up with something more obnoxious than a Newt Gingrich. If he didn't exist, we'd have to create him. So here's what I'm suggesting. Let's face it, Obama's not going to have any serious Democratic opposition next year. Democrats who live in Iowa, New Hampshire, and other early primary states, and independents, should switch party registration. We should register in the Republican primary and vote for Newt Gingrich, because he is the ultimate symbol of everything that is evil with conservatism, and he is going to be the easiest candidate to defeat. He's certainly going to be a lot harder to lose to than a Mitt Romney, who would be hard to defeat. Now, some of you may, do we really want to do that? Yes, I beg you. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It may be another 1,000 years before the forces of conservatism put up on a platter someone so evil, so hypocritical. I'll tell you, the Republicans couldn't nominate anyone more obnoxious if they dug up the bones of Jeffrey Dahmer, the convicted serial murderer, sex abuser, and cannibal. I mean, it would take somebody that horrific to be worse than Newt Gingrich. I believe he could be beaten by Obama, and he would be by far the easiest Republican candidate to beat. Now, let's face it, if we can't beat Newt Gingrich, game over. We can't beat anyone. We might as well just move to Canada. I'm TJ Walker in New York for the Daily National.